Well, greetings, everyone. I wanted to follow up with a couple of things about the sermon yesterday on forgiveness. I've gotten some good feedback from several of you that it was just timely, and forgiveness is always a timely subject. But there were some things that going on. Sounds like that it just was even more timely. There was a couple of things that I did not get to, just simply because sort of ran out of time. You can't put everything in a sermon contrary to public opinion. And a couple of things that I think are really important, and I'm going to focus on one, and I may come back a little bit later this week and focus on the other. One of the questions that I'm often asked is, how can I find forgiveness for someone who is no longer on this earth? And let me say it more clearly. How can I find forgiveness, experience forgiveness, and the freedom that comes with that when something's happened between me and someone and that person has died? Whether that person has offended or hurt me in some way, and we never did get a chance to sort of get it solved, or I did something to someone, and before we could ever get it solved, they passed away. And every once in a while, that question will come up, and the answer is incredibly hopeful, because the answer is yes. I believe that we can experience forgiveness for something that we have done to someone else, or someone else has done to us, even when that person has died and is no longer here. And there's no way that we can reconcile with them this side of heaven. Now, so let me just unpack this briefly, because there's a lot there, but I want you to know that I believe that is incredibly hopeful news. Part of this is what Bonhoeffer said was about how all Christian community is formed. Christian community isn't me relating to you and you relating to me. Christian community is me relating to God and God relating to you. And then our relationship is always with Christ in the middle. So it's like this triangle, so that we're always going to Christ first, and then our relationship is built upon Christ, who then kind of is in the center of everything. And if that's the case, and I firmly believe it is, and if that's the case, then forgiveness is always through Christ. And we know that. I don't think we'll get any argument there. Any sort of forgiveness that we give or we get always involves our relationship with God first and foremost. We have been forgiven first, therefore we can forgive. And so even our hurts between one another, it's not that I forgive you and that's the end of it. What really happens is that we are seeking forgiveness through Christ, and we're applying it to one another. All right, so if that's the case, then we know that beyond the grave continues to be existence. It continues to be, if a person has faith in Christ, it is an experience of fullness. And in 1 Corinthians 13:12, which is in the middle of the love chapter, the Apostle Paul makes this great statement. And he says this: "For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we'll see face to face. Now in part, but then I shall understand fully, even as I have been fully understood." So, faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but love is the greatest. And so what he's saying is that once we get past our last breath and in the presence of Christ, everything becomes clear. And I believe a part of what becomes clear is any relationships that we had something that wasn't right, they get solved, that we find peace. I believe beyond the grave, in presence of Christ, we understand completely the motives and the love and the forgiveness. And so if something's happened between me and another person, and it never did get resolved, and that person dies, I believe there's a couple things that happens. First of all, that person knows clearly what my intent was and what my intent is, and my desire to be reconciled and my desire to forgive. And I believe that is honored through Christ. The second thing that happens is that we can have forgiveness, and we can receive forgiveness, and we can give forgiveness, because forgiveness is always through our relationship with Christ to the other person. And so the answer is yes. If you're wrestling with some sort of hurt that either you have inflicted upon someone or they have upon you, maybe it was an offense that something happened and just never got solved, and this person died and it never got solved, and it's something that really sits hard and it really sits heavy upon your heart, you can find freedom because you can find forgiveness. Christ offers that. Even if the person that we have offended or that we have been in this relationship that's broken is no longer with us. I believe that's one of the great hopeful things that Christ does for us. And when we put Christ in the middle of our relationships, it only adds and it only benefits, not only here on earth, but in the life to come. I hope that was helpful. I'd love to have any conversations with you about forgiveness, and in particular, if there's things that are going on that you're really struggling with, and if someone has passed on and it just didn't get resolved, if you'd like some help just talking through that and understanding this more fully, I would love to have that opportunity with you. So anyway, hope you're having a great Monday, and I will talk to you later.